Hello guys and welcome back to Pokemon TCG Center. In today's video we'll be looking at battle. It's battle between, on the left side, I played with the Umbreon GX, Espeon GX, and I also decided to made a deck with the CGI GX, so it can be very interesting. Something new, something unusual actually, with a lot of evolutions. Um, I didn't actually include a single evolution from the ancient origins just because I don't know. It requires a tons of space. Trust me. With couple the CGI line, you really need to have like 8 or 9 cards in your deck. So that's the reason why I didn't fit any other evolution. But for example, you can always benefit from them. At least adding one of each, so you can also attack for the weakness. On the right side, we'll be looking at the deck. Also, one interesting deck. It's a Vespiquen, Zoroark, and it's also Zoroark inside. Unfortunately, in this game, this deck was played without a evolutions, so no Flareon, no Jolteon or Vaporeon, but the most important thing for this deck, of course, is going to be Flareon, just because with the Flareon you can strike for the one-hit knockout the Decidueyes. Later in the game, when me and my friend was testing, he actually decided to add also Flareon. So there was just a Lily for like up to 8 and one double course energy attached to the combi, and that's pretty much it. So as you can see, there is one level ball. Basically, with the level ball, you can search any Pokemon under 90 or less HP. So basically 90 or less HP. It's good for the Rowlet, of course. You can pick Rowlet, you can put it down to the bench, you can have that turn 1. The CGI, which is very important. On the other side, you can also pick Jirachi, because Jirachi is a very cool and very hard counter for the deck that actually depend just on running double cores energies. You wouldn't believe me, but you can actually get Jirachi, strike for 10, discard double cores energy, prevent your opponent from being able to attack your Jirachi, and simply turn after that you can, and on the same turn, if you have 2 the CGIs, you can spread 4 damage counters around the board, which is just amazing, because you can buy your turn to knock out your opponent's Shamus. And there we go, there's just a Lysandre for the combi with the double cores energy. That's also double cores energy attachment for the Rowlet, and Shaman setup for 3 extra cards. There's also Force of the Giant Plant, as you can see in hand, but no Drow supporter, which means that, I mean, there was actually Professor Sycamore, but the reason I didn't play Professor Sycamore is just pure because I don't have Revital Laser in this build, so I was not able to recycle without using my GX attack with my CGI, my second Decidueye, of course, back into my hand. So, looks like there's going to be a knockout from the Vespiquen, so simply with the Be Revenge, you can strike for 20, and you can also add 10 more damage counters. 10 damage counters for each of your Pokemon in your discard pile. So 2 copies of Anoms means 2 extra cards, and when you use that Farewell Leatherette, of course, you can also get 10 extra damage. So there was one Ultra Ball. That Ultra Ball is for a Zorua, of course. You can attach Flowstone to Zorua. With the Zoroark, you can just have that freestanding retreat. And also, Shaman in hand can be set up for like up to 6 cards, which means it's going to be set up for 5. And there's another Acrobite, Professor Skukui. Also, there's Combi. So, second combi is always welcome. One more Acrobike. Very interesting thing about this list is that this deck also run, you wouldn't believe me, Oranguru, which is pretty cool card, because with the Oranguru instruct, you can draw cards until you have 3 in your hand. So basically in the late game, when your opponent end you down to 1, that end is not going to be that effective, but still you can end your opponent hand from like 6 or 7 down to 1, and that can be pretty good. Pretty strong. So there's Lysandre and a Bee Seeker in his hand. There's also Force of the Giant Plant, but I didn't see purpose playing Force of the Giant Plant so far, but there we go, there's just the Force of the Giant Plant, and put it in play. And of course knockout against that Eevee. So it's time for the Rowlet to become active. And the good thing about Rowlet is that if you get lucky, and right now, if I can find, for example, Dartrix and Decidueye, I can always evolve into my Decidueye, and getting that grass energy, I can strike for 90, knocking out that Vespiquen from the active spot, and simply splashing 2 more damage counters, for example, to his Bansheed combi. But in this situation, it's much better to spread 2 damage counters down to the Shaman, because simply with another Razor Leaf, you can go for 90 and one-hit knock out your opponent's Shaman EX. But so far, pretty bad cards in my hand, as you can see it. But at least there is a Jirachi Psychic Energy, which means you can simply retreat, use Stardust, attack for 10, discard Double Core's Energy, and leave your opponent without energy, and of course without a chance to deal any damage to a Jirachi. But of course you can always Lysandre any of your Bansheed Pokemon, for example in this situation Shaman, and go for 2 prize knockouts. So another unknown for the Farewell Leather is going to be another Substrika, and simply Double Core's Energy down to Substrika means you can simply Lysander and one-hit knockout Shaman. You can even one-hit knockout Rayquaza, Mega Rayquaza, Yveltal EX with the Fighting Fury belt. Any other Pokemon that actually have 220 or less HP. Actually 240 I think, because it's 50 plus 70 if you have a resistance to fighting. So this is going to be, I think it's the Crush Ball, the name of the attack, for the one-hit knockout of course. And there we go with the Trainer's Mail. And Trainer's Mail is just gonna be for Professor Sycamore or N. I think it's better to grab M, just because if you have so many valuable resources like Umbreons and Espeons in your hand, you really don't want to discard them so easily. On the other side, this Jirachi Stardust can again strike that Substrika, and simply attacking Substrika only for 10, but since Substrika also have resistance minus 20, that's not going to be even a single damage counter. But if you're looking at the rest of the board, which is pretty bad, you can still just at least prevent your opponent from being able to attack you for like a turn, which can always be good, and you can still get some time to set up your bench. So there's Ultra Ball for Professor Sycamore, and it's gonna be for that Umbreon. Right now, it's the best thing to grab one Eevee and to start simply getting that Umbreon GX ready, or even better, Espeon for that DY GX, because simply you can spread 10 damage counters around the board. So there's Double Core's Energy to Eevee. Unfortunately, it's not allowed to evolve because it's not basic energy, and there's just the Force of the Giant Plant, couple other cards. Like Darkness Energy, like a Flowstone, like a Trainer's Mail, but still no sign of the Decidueye so far. So I think it's like turn 4 or turn 3 or turn 5, really doesn't matter, still no Decidueye in play. But that Jirachi is still going to help a lot in this matchup, simply because it can use Stardust, discard Special Energy, and simply get protection at least for 1 turn without taking any damage counters. So as you can see, the bench space is full, so this is going to be just 1 VA Seeker for Professor Sycamore, discarding the entire hand and adding a couple more Pokemons in discard pile, which means he can strike for even more damage counters. There's one Ranguru, Mew EX, a Combi, and Revita Laser. So yeah, with the Revita Laser you can simply grab a couple Vespiquens, for example, and evolve your Combis. Another Acrobike, which means it's going to be another decision between N and the VA Seeker. Of course, VA Seeker is more important because you can simply get the access to any supporter card from your discard pile, including VA Seeker. But since you already played this turn a supporter card, you can't simply get that knockout. So that Substrika will actually stack in the active position. As you can see, also Zoroark will not be effective with the Floatstone, because one is in discard pile and looks like he can't find a second one. I mean, there's an Ultra Ball and also a Revita Laser in his hand, so he have just 1 grass Pokemon, which means it's going to be just a single Vespiquen from a discard pile. Overall, there we go with the Ultra Ball. Looks like it's going to be Ultra Ball for Combi, I think, and the Professor Sycamore. So yeah, unfortunately, no sign of the Zoroark, which means that's not. But there is no chance that he can simply stand in, switch his Striker from the active position. So without Flowstone, that Striker will stuck forever in the active position, which will actually help me a lot. So there is a top deck Umbreon and also Flowstone, which is pretty badass in this situation. You can simply switch your Jirachi for free without paying that energy discarding cost. And this is going to be one energy evolution. Will there be another Umbreon? Looks like it's not going to be. So at least there is one Umbreon in hand, so it can simply Eevee can simply evolve, and then you can strike for 90 and spread 3 damage counters to one of your opponent benched Pokemon, which is very important. On the other side, if there's going to be also the Decidueye in play, that's going to be a lot of damage counters spread around the board. So one Professor Sycamore for 7. There we go with the Decidueye, but still no sign of the Dartrix. Espeon GX also hits the ground, so at least it can be 90 and 30 for something like Zorua. Of course, there is no Zoroark, I even realized that, so basically attacking for 30 on that Zorua is pretty good because you can apply some pressure and take double knockout on your next turn, even triple prize knockout with that double Decidueye. Because you can simply go with 2 damage counters on the Shaman. You can knock out, you can actually draw 4 prize in single turn. The CGI EX can spread, let's say we have 2 Decidueyes in play, that can be 2 more damage counters to Striker, which is 1 prize. The second, the CGI can put 2 damage counters to Shaman, and then simply Lysander down to Shaman, and with the Umbreon knocking out Shaman and Zorua, can actually be 4 prize in single turn. On the other side, attaching double course energy to Striker can only be 50 damage counters, which is not that good, not also smart, but since you can't switch, since you can't retreat, attacking even for 50 is not bad, especially if you want to set up double knockout against that Umbreon once in the game. Still, you really need to deal some damage counters, but you also need to apply some pressure to your opponent. So it looks like this is going to be V-Seeker for Lily instead of the Sycamore, of course, because the lack of the cards in his hand. But there we go, there's just a Lysander sitting in his hand, which means he can simply just pass the turn without even attacking. And next turn just try to Lysander maybe Shaniacs for double knockout, for double prize with the Vespiquen, but he just decided to attach double course energy to Zoroark. I didn't even realize that the Umbreon GX is actually weak on the fighting and not resistant to fighting, and also resistant to Psychic minus 30. So it's gonna be just 50 damage counters in this way. Taking just 50 damage counters, of course, will help you to finish the job with the Vespiquen. There is one Psych Energy attached down to the Umbreon, and of course it's going to be end, simply because you can't afford yourself to discard tons of the energies, because you really need energy cards without options to recycle them back. You can't afford that, but if you run, for example, Super, you can always take the risk and discard them. So there is, for example, right now Dartrix, but there is no sign of the CGI, for example, which is pretty bad. And unfortunately, without the CGI, you simply can't spread 2 damage counters to the Striker, and maybe even take the advantage knocking out one more of your opponent Vespiquens, and even knocking out one Zorua, taking 3 prize knockout. But for example, your opponent, if it's a smart decision in play, he could always prevent after the knockout against the Striker with the CGI feeder arrow, for example, Shaman, because Shaman is 110 and Umbreon can only go for 90, which means Shaman can survive in that situation. This is going to be straight for 30, as you can see, and running down to the Rowlet on the bench, which is also a pretty smart play and pretty smart decision, because your opponent will actually right now need double course energy and Lysander, or even a VS Seeker, so he can simply get the access to knock out, for example, against Shaymin or even better against that Umbreon, which is always good, simply because you will have your Umbreon ready next turn to deal some damage counters. There is, however, double core synergy and the Lysandre sitting in Vespiquen's side. So, for example, he can always get double price knockout against the Shaymin. But for me and for my opinion, it's much smarter to maybe take the knockout against Jirachi, because Jirachi is that problematic for Vespiquen deck. We see 3 double core synergies and 1 special charge in Vespiquen deck, but Vespiquen decks run 2 special charges just because you simply need them, and you also need Pokemon Ranger, for example. So there we go with the Lysandre, and it's going to be knockout against Shaymin. So there we go, 5 prize versus 1 prize. So who's going to win? And there is second Dartrix and another Rowlet in play, just to get rid of some of the cards, of course, from your hand, just because you really want to use another VE Seeker for N and then your opponent down to 1 card, and just simply use the Stardust and knocks out the double core energy and get the protection against his Vespiquen. So for that purpose, he actually will require tons of cards, something like VE Seeker again, and something like a special charge, and still double core energy to attack, which means you can have that extra turn to set up, and there's just the Decidueye GX finally in play, so he can start to use the advantage of those feeder arrows, and simply with the feeder arrow you can spread 2 damage counters to one of your Pokemons in play. And it's going to be feeder arrow, and 2 damage counters are going to be placed to probably Zorua, just because you can knock it out next turn. And of course, it's going to be just a Stardust. Extra 10 damage counters to that Vespiquen means no double core energy, no chance to attack, and also 10 damage counters. And the top deck was a special charge, so this is just going to be second double core energy recycle. Actually, 2 double core energies will be recycled back to deck, which means there's 2 more DCs available for attack. Still 5 prize left to take for Umbreon and friends. So who's gonna win? It's still very, very tight match. Even Vespiquen managed to take 5 prize cards versus only single prize for the Umbreon. So it looks like this is gonna be switch, but it really doesn't matter where it's gonna be switch, because there's gonna be knockout with the feeder arrow down to that Zorua, which is a big one. So just a feeder arrow for the knockout, another energy, so many energies, but you simply can't do nothing with that. And on the other side right now, it's simply time for the Umbreon. It's time for Umbreon to start apply some pressure. Of course, the best possible situation in this case is going to be to use the VE Seeker for the Lysandre, get the Shaymin in the active position. Just because if your opponent runs 1 or 2 flow stones, and if he already weighs them, he simply will not get access to it, and you can simply attack your opponent Shaymin and force him to Sky Return. There is a second Decidueye, and with the second Decidueye, you can simply spread 2 more damage counters with the feeder arrow to one of your opponent Pokemons in play, and also third Dartrix in play. So that can be with 3 Decidueyes up to 6 damage counters per turn, which means you can simply take a double knockout against your opponent Vespiquens with your 3 feeder arrows, and of course with the Umbreon attack. Not sure what's the name of it, but still it's 90 damage counters for 1 darkness and double course energies, and 30 to 1 of your opponent banished Pokemons. Grass energy attached to the CGI, and basically this is going to be a knockout, probably with the Umbreon, and 30 damage counters will be spread to 1 of opponent banished Pokemons. But still 4 prize needs to be taken. It's not that easy. However, 1 double course energy as a top deck will actually be, I think, enough for the 1-hit knockout against that Umbreon. So it's not that easy decision, but decision needs to be made. So, for example, you can always promote something like the CGI because it's 240 HP and it will definitely survive 1 hit against that Be Revenge. However, you simply need to start apply and take a risk with the pressure and trying to knock out some of your opponent Pokemons from play, like those Vespiquen. But on the other side, you can also use Hall of Hunt GX, for example, and grab any 3 cards from your discard pile back into your hand. So it's going to be V-Seeker, probably for Olympia, so you can switch for free on the bench. It's going to be maybe even a Lysander. So let's see. A V-Seeker, a Lysander, and a double Gorz Energy. So 3 pretty strong cards in this case. And will there be a double Gorz Energy top deck? Nope. But it's going to be Oranguru and Blitzel, so you can draw cards till you have 3 with your Instruct. And still, there's just a Zepstrika, Vespiquen, and I think it was Zoroark, but I'm not 100% positive if it is. So, yeah, no double Gorz Energy, which means this is just going to be pass from the Vespiquen, unfortunately. And right now, even Razorleaf can start to attack for like a 90, knocking out those Vespiquens easily. However, even Shaman can be knocked out in this situation. Actually, 2 damage counters put it down to the Vespiquen and 2 to the Shaman, of course, due to the Lysander and Razorleaf for 90, knocking out that Shaman. And basically, next turn, all you really have to do is have your V-Seeker in your hand, so you can simply Lysander one of your opponent Vespiquens, and with Umbreon GX take a double knockout. But there is Tauros, as you can see it on the other side, so putting Tauros down to the bench can actually help him to draw 1 card with Instruct. And simply, if there's going to be a double Gorz Energy, he can even start to attack with the Tauros. But putting Tauros in the fire is pretty good, because if it cannot be 1-hit knocked out, you can just use Mad Bull GX and 1-hit knock out your opponent without too many problems. But as long as there is a V-Seeker, you can simply switch down to the Umbreon and finish the game with the Umbreon Lysandering one of the Vespiquens and knocking out the second one on the bench for the double prize knockout and for the victory. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Make sure to leave comments below and subscribe to the channel for more videos. See you in the next video. Have a nice day and goodbye.